That doesn't happen when you're the CEO, by the way. That happens when you're in the field. You see, David was declared king in 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 3. We read that. But that was when he was 30. But when did he become the leader? You see, I made a note here. How do you pick a leader? Here's how you do it. Do you look at the appearance? Do you look at the appearance?
No.
No, you don't look at the appearance. Most of us look at the appearance, but you get up to a little more wisdom. You go, well, let's look at his history. Let me see his resume, right? Let me see your resume. What's your references? Well, that's looking at the history, their past. Okay, that's good. That's great information. You glean a lot from that. But no offense, I really don't care. What about that past? I care about right now. Are you progressing in a positive manner going forward? So, do you take from an older person? So out of the sons, do you pick the eldest? Do you pick whoever's the richest? How do you pick a leader? David became the leader back in 1 Samuel 16 when he was faithful with little. To whom much is given,
much is required.
much is required. So if you want to be king, you better be prepared to have an onslaught of things have to do. My mentors, I had to drive them from California all over the country. I had no sleep. I had to carry their stuff around. I had to go to conferences and be up. I had to get the mentors to the hotels and get them tucked in. And then by that time, it was usually like 1 or 2. And then they'd call me up and be like, okay, grab the equipment. I want to record a message. I've got a great idea. And I'm like, it's 3 a.m. and we got a conference to be back at 7. We got to go. Yes, sir. And I'm going and I'm doing this and I'm crossing countries and I'm crossing states and I'm not making any of the big bucks and I'm not getting stage time and I'm not even getting paid for most of this, by the way. Most of my mentors, not one of them ever paid me a dime. And I say most of them because there actually was one. And I learned a very valuable lesson from that relationship. So other than one, the rest of them never paid me a dime to work for them. I said, I will serve you. I will deliver for you more value than any other person on the face of the earth. And if I can bring more value to you and I can promote your company, your vision, your seminar, if I can help people find you and I can help them get their breakthrough using your system, I want you to teach me how you did it so I can do it. Ha! So as the world saw a child in the field of poo, God saw a king who already knows how to rule and reign as a king. He learned how to discipline the sheep. He learned how to make changes with the sheep's patterns. He knows how to get them to move in a direction when they don't want to go there. Does that sound like someone you work with called your employees or your staff or your boss? You don't just have to scream, I'm right, you're wrong, and I have rights. Let me tell you something. Here's a rude awakening. Not one of you have one right. No, not really. You really don't. How dare you? I have the right to what? What do you really have the right to do? What really do you own in this world, right? You say, I own myself. I own my house. You do own your house? Yes, I do. Me and my wife paid it off. I own it. No, that's an illusion. You think you own your house. This year, don't pay your taxes on your house and see what happens next year. Yes, you own it. But if you don't pay those taxes, and I go down to the courthouse and pay your tax lien against you and take that lien to get the court and get the lien and come to you, if you don't pay it, guess what happens? You don't own anything. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. It's an illusion that you own property. No one owns the earth. No one. Now, what you own is you own the right to live on it and you own the right to pay taxes to someone to have it. And it's just temporarily yours as long as you pay for it continually. So you don't own anything. Well, I own my car. You own your car that you got to keep maintaining and paying people to fix. So do you own the car or does the car own you? Well, I own my puppy. I mean, I can keep going with this, folks. Let me explain this to you. Once you realize that a lot of what we're trained in this world are illusions. David's brothers had an illusion that they were the ones, right? Because we were the studs. We had the greatest grades. I went to Harvard. David didn't. David was not a royalty. David didn't come from any of that pedigree. Instead, God looked at his heart and saw a boy who said, I will be faithful with the shit in the field with the few little souls of lambs and sheep that I have at my life and responsibility to take care of, and I will do this as though it was a kingdom. And that, my friends, is the secret of David becoming king. It was not at the end, at 30 years of age, by the way. And back then, you only lived in your 30s, which I might add, he took over as king in his 30, at the age of 30, and he died at 70. 40 years later, he outlived everybody. I mean, majority of his kingdom died when he became king, and then the rest of them lived, and then he outlived them. So this man became the leader in the field. So are you in the field? What field are you in? What shit is all over you that you keep whining about? I know you're like, Rev, I've never heard you swear this much on the church video. There's a reason these things aren't sent for children to be able to access them on the internet. Because I'm not here to talk to people who are going to get a little offended. I'm here to flip the world upside down and shake its equilibrium. I am a provoker, and I'm here to provoke you to look inside your heart. And are you in a field right now covered in poo and complaining and I don't like my job and I'm crippled and I have a heart problem and I got this and I got that? That's me. That was me, right? That was me if I chose to be. Instead, I got this great opportunity. See, folks, next week I go in for a double surgery. Hey, that's right. You're like, dude, didn't you just go through a couple surgeries? 3 of them, yes, actually. I don't care how many surgeries I'm going to go through. I don't care what the odds are. I could care less. I don't care that my back hurts so bad. But at this conference, I rocked it harder, longer, and faster, and better than men who were 25 years old. I took them all out, baby. The beast showed up. I said, flip it on and let the beast show them how to do it. You see, I want everything in my life to be lived to the fullest. But you have to learn principles to get that fullest. So how do I get to the fullness of being able to be freed, right? Well, I have to be faithful in the beginning like David was. Everybody comes to me. I have friends all the time. Hey, Rev, could you help me? I want to start a company. I got this great idea and I'm going to do this. Just tell me how to do it and then I'll go do it. Now I have others say, hey, Rev, same thing. I got this great idea, this company. You want to be partner with me? Now, that's a better way to come to me, by the way, if you want to come to me about an idea. Because why am I going to just give you the secret to build your company? Good question. But that's a whole nother subject. And I've had others come to me and go, I don't get it, man. I don't understand. You get all this freedom. You know, they're mad at me because I have freedom. But guess what? Freedom was the number one thing on my goal when I left my last marriage. Freedom. Not money. No, money comes to me easily. It's not money. Freedom. Freedom to go when I want to go. If I want to hop in a car or a plane right now, I can go to Maine and hang out for a month with my dad. If I want to go down to the woods in Southern California and climb in the mountains and play up in there and go to Yosemite for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 days, I can do that. If I want to take one of my spiritual sons, who's our IT director, and go to Mexico on a conference, enjoy some Mai Tais on the beach, help change some lives, maybe go to Africa where we're going to be building an orphanage. I can do all that because somebody taught me these principles of living in the field and taking care of someone else's field, taking care of someone else's sheep, and doing it as though it was my own sheep. See, you got to pretend to be the king when you're not the king. You got to pretend you're the CEO. And how do you do that? Well, I can tell you how you do it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because he did this. He didn't just jump as king now. David accepted the title. As I close this, I want you to hear this. David accepted the title at 30, became the leader way back in his teens. Now he's the title holder. Boom, I am the king. He's still in the city of Hebron. So why didn't he go to Jerusalem? Why didn't he go to Zion? Why didn't he go to the big city and finally rule and reign, right? There's a process we have to go through. And he knows this because he learned this process when he was young, and he knows the lessons that are going to be just a little different. It's now, instead of sheep, it's an entire kingdom. But he didn't learn it in Hebron. No, where did he learn it? With the strong men, 400 men, which means 400 families who gripe, bitch, moan, who cheat on their spouses, whose kids start fights, whose, people die. There's a lot of crap. So David left the field with sheep and poo, right? And now he's in a cave with 400 families and all the poo keeps coming out of their mouths and lives. And he's still taking care of the sheep in the field in poo. Yet he's the leader of them, right? Now he's king of the kingdom. And what happened? He's now got more poo all over to manage. You see, when I became a multimillionaire, I thought it would actually get easier. Oh, it got more complicated because I realized I got more poo everywhere. The higher you climb, the more poo there is. And you're like, do I really want this? That's a lot to deal with. Yes, it is. And yes, if you want to see greatness, you're going to see a lot of that. But see, when I smell poo, let me tell you what I smell. I do this all the time with my children when they were young. I'd roll the window down when the fields were being primed and I would say, woo, what do you smell? And you know what? They would all yell, money. And so here's what's funny. How do you smell money? When you smell filled with poo, because it's fertilizer. Poo is fertilizer. So bring your poo. I love it. You got poo coming all over? Let's go. We're going to turn that fertilizer and turn that ground into something that can be productive. So David took the poo, put it into soil, and worked that. And again, we're talking about lives inside of the caves of Adullam. No longer in the poo in the field with the sheep. Now it's the human poo, the poo that comes out of our mouth, the bullshit, the lies that we tell ourselves every day. Now he's working that. So he's in the caves. He got a little more, too much is given, much is required, a little more responsibility. You see, if you want to be king, you got to learn how to rule and reign in the field with the sheep. And then you keep climbing to the next level. And it's the same steps as the first one. It's just more responsibility and there's more consequences and there's more risks. And it can be harder. And every day you get stronger and then you pump it again and you